Hello there, and welcome back to TerraFirmaCraft Hardrock. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yeah, I haven't done much since I was last on, but what I have done is made up some leather. We could turn this into actual leather, from the small leather to this leather. Then we can swap this out. Let me double check before I mess this up. We want leather strips, which we get from leather sheets. There we go. So that gets us some leather strips, which we can then combine with a stick to make a handle. This is indeed the correct handle we want. Which can then go here. And there we go. We have a black bronze pick with full durability. So now I can go out and collect all of the bronze, or all the copper and other resources we're going to need to make everything. To make the blast furnace. Let's grab a drink of water and then we're going to go and start collecting more resources. Now, I was thinking we have two options for us. So we need to make the blast furnace doors, or the bloomery doors. These take double sheets, and as I said, it's going to be something like 38 ingots of black bronze. Well, bronze in general. I think I'm going to be making bismuth bronze, but it's going to be a lot of ingots. We can either use the system we were using, which was using a single vessel to alloy the metals and then cast them out one or two at a time. So I'm just going to re-record what I was saying earlier because I didn't like how it turned out. We have a few options ahead of us. We need to go find kaolinite and graphite in order to make the crucible. We can either go out exploring specifically to find kaolinite and graphite, or we can make a boat and explore south. We're not going to find kaolinite up here. We need to go further south into a tropic area to find kaolinite. Kaolinite clay specifically. Our options for that is either swimming, which is not an option since there are sharks in the water, and also with the bug with the movement and the stamina system, I'm guaranteed to drown before we get there. We can make a boat, which requires a kayak requires hides and beeswax or tallow. We can get tallow from rendering fat or rotten flesh, so that's easy, but the large hides require either bears, tigers, dire wolves, or something like cows, maybe alpaca. I'm not sure. I think alpaca are medium hides like horses and donkeys. So we either have to hunt or we have to find ourselves a different wood type that we don't have around here. The burnt out canoe or dugout canoe requires, amongst other things, a Douglas fir or pine, which we don't have around here. Around here we have a lot of chestnut, hickory, and we also have some oak and ash, none of which are usable for what we want. So we're going to have to explore regardless. I think finding the wood would probably be easier, but that's going to require exploration. That's going to require exploration regardless. So that's going to be the order for the next few days in game, is me just wandering around, exploring, hoping to find what I'm looking for. But now we have leather, we can make a water skin. We do need to find a bladder, which requires hunting. Alpacas, goats, sheep, deer, all will provide a bladder for us. So that's going to be probably easier to get our hands on than a large hide. But that will allow us to carry more water with us at a time, and while the water skin does have a durability, you can repair it, unlike the jug, which when it does break, and it will randomly break like 1% of the time you use it, you're out of a skin. The jug, yeah. You can repair the hide. That's makes it easier on us. No, none of the correct trees yet, but found a deer and found a sheep. So, yeah, that's good. I might actually go hunt those deer quickly. Wow, there's a lot of deer. And baby deer. I don't want the baby deer. I want the adult deer. Wow. Deer exploded. They do give large raw hides. Oh. You scared the daylight out of me. Okay. We got a pack over here too. That's good. So we got meat, we got bladder. Good. Suet, bone, large raw hide. I do not have the inventory space for all this. I don't think. That should definitely... I don't know why the food doesn't go into the bundle. It definitely should. Because they are small. But, okay. Let's... You see, all that went into the bundle. Okay, well... We did not get the wood yet, but we got one large hide, which means we can go back and set our spawn. And then we can come out over here where there are rams and alpaca. Oh, we got a male and a female alpaca, so we can start getting wool. Awesome. So I'm going to leave a mark over here. That's probably spelled wrong. So with these hides, we could make the canoe. I'm going to hold off on, the kayak. I'm going to hold off on that because I would rather make the canoe over the kayak. I'd rather make the rowboat over that, and I'd rather make the sloop over all of those, but make what we can get. And we can come back and keep looking for more, for different wood. All right, well, we got a thatched bed. Did not want to sleep through the night. Time is kind of the essence. But, yep, we got a bed. Our spawn is reset. And now we can make our water skin or leather flask. So we need 2 flask sides, which require 1 strip, 1 sheet, 2 strips, and string. Oh, this requires a needle. Do I have a needle? I have a wooden needle. That, and that. So we can make 1 side. Then I'm going to need more strips. And then I'm going to need... the only problem is... everything pops out. You can make another version of this sewing table, one with a drawer built in, or chest, and then it will actually store the items in it, and it won't pop out when you exit the screen. Put that there. Let's put the bladder and that there. And then I just need another bit of plant string, which I've got enough right there for. This again. There we go. We've got our 2 sides. Put them together. We make a leather flask, which can then hold 500 milliliters or millibuckets. Yeah, 500 millibuckets of water, which is 5 drinks. And can I store that in... I can store that in my basket, which means I can also store that in my sack, burlap sack here. So we don't have to carry jugs around anymore. Nice. I'm going to boil more water. Worry about that later. But now we can also look at Well, we can't make the backpack yet. We need a frame. But this requires sheets plus leather and then do it again. I'm going to make some of those. I have one more small hide here, which I can cut down. Do that. Do that. There we go. We can now store that there. So now we've got another inventory, but this holds medium now. So, do I have something that would count as medium? Oh, here, let's try with some food, since that didn't fit before, right? No, that does not fit. I don't imagine tools, no. Knife, no. Well, oops, did not want to do that. Well, if nothing else, we've got a little more inventory space now. Okay, well, let's place everything down and head back out once again to hopefully maybe find the tree I'm looking for. But yeah, so the water flask, or the leather flask, does have a limited amount of uses. 100. But once it breaks, it can be repaired. Broken leather flask, it can be repaired with another bladder, and that restores it to full use. So, that, like I said, it's much better than the jugs. Found a few things. First off, there's a tiger over there, which explains the pig that I just found on the ground. Thankfully, I didn't have any issues with it. But now I found this. Pillagers and a building. Pillager outpost and pillagers, so they'll one-shot me. I'm not going near them. But what is this? It's huge, whatever it is. Oh, getting thirsty. There we go. So I know we have some dungeons in this. I kind of want to explore it, but I also know if I do, I'm going to die. Leaving restricted structure. Yeah, I can't break any blocks. Yeah, there may be loot in there, but we're not going to explore that just yet. I need to keep looking for the trees I need so I can make our canoe. Hey, it took a fair bit of exploring, but I found a Douglas fir. It is a dead Douglas fir, technically. Or at least it looks dead, you know. But it's Douglas fir. And that is what we need for the dugout canoe. So we're going to chop this down. And then we can finally head back and start making the dugout canoe, which will allow us to explore. And of course, the benefit is I do love the look of the Douglas fir wood. So, you know. We are a fair bits away from where we last were. I did find some borax in the side of the hill there. Yeah, so we have some sylvite. We have some borax. What is borax used for? Quartz dust and flux. It's useful if you don't live in an area where you get flux easily. We happen to have the, was it the dolomite? Which all processes down into flux also. So we have plenty of flux. We don't really have to worry about specifically collecting borax for flux. But there we go. We've got our Douglas fir wood. We can go make our canoe. We just gotta go back home. So I'm going to make that journey. It's about 2 days, provided I don't run into anything dangerous. And then we can look to start traveling south and look for Kaolinite. And I should really keep an eye out for graphite. There's plenty of... I'm finding plenty of iron. Like, I just found more magnetite there. I saw limonite over that way somewhere. But we have so much hematite and magnetite around our base that marking down iron out here is not really necessary. Because I should never have to go out this far to get iron. Because we have plenty. And yeah, I've been collecting pumpkins just because they're a long-lasting fruit. I mean, this one has almost 3 months shelf life. We put it in a vessel, it'll be up to about 5 months. That's half a year, and we are on... well, we've almost on the end of month 3, right? Since a month is 30 days in this mod pack, and the first 28 days disappeared from the counter when we died. So we are really technically on day, what, 68, 76 out of 360. So, but I am just keeping an eye out for, although I don't think we're going to find graphite in shale. No, we're not going to find graphite in shale. We need to find like claystone to find graphite. Nope. When we get home and we're safe, I'll look up in the book and let you know where we can find graphite. So, nothing like a little bit of multitasking. We're firing up some clay bricks in our charcoal forge, so we can make the bricks to fully insulate our oven here. Same time, we are making water, or more boiled water, because we're out. And, yep, we found a pig when we were out there. I mentioned that earlier. And I've started setting up to make the dugout canoe. So as soon as these are heated up, we'll swap them out and then go work on that canoe. I forgot. You need a bellows to get the clay hot enough to do it that way. So, okay, that's gonna have to wait again. Alright, we need our saw. So, to make the dugout canoe, first thing we need to do is lay out 3 Douglas fir logs together. As I mentioned, you can use Douglas fir, pine, palm, spruce, sequoia, Copic, mangrove, white cedar, or willow. We got the Douglas fir, so we're going to use Douglas fir. We strip the bark, and then we take our saw, right? The top of the log will be removed using a saw. There we go. And that does give us a few planks. Not much, but a few. Then we need to use the axe to carve it out. Right. Alright. And then we need to light the inside on fire to hollow it out. And it takes a bit of time. Did I say about as long? About as long as a pit kiln, which is 8 minutes. So we need to grab fire starter. And there we go. So, yep, it's going to take about 8 minutes, and then we're going to have a dugout canoe that we can go explore the water with. We also need to make a paddle, which is a piece of lumber and a stick. I wonder if a stick works or if it needs to be a twig. Stick works. So we need the canoe paddle, and then we'll be able to go out and explore. And so now I just have to put my stuff away. Alright, just getting a little busy work done before we go out and take the canoe, which is now ready. Amongst that is I am making more of these burlap sacks. So we got to put the jute fibers onto the loom, and then just hold down the right mouse button and we will work the loom. And when this is done, that'll get us 2. And for the sack, we need 2 plus 2 plant fiber plus 4 string. We can also... Now that takes linen cloth, and that takes flax. So we can't make one of these sacks yet. And as I mentioned, these sacks from supplementaries are like shulkers, but they only have 9 inventory slots. I should hopefully have enough to make what I need. Let's plant mesh. I need this, which is 2 plant mesh. We appear to be a little short on the fibers. So I'm going to have to go make more fibers. But what I also made was a hook from Butcher's Delight. So I can, well, string up the pig and cut it up. So the hook is made from a rod. I used copper on the anvil, so we had to make a copper ingot, turn it into rods, and then turn the rod into a hook. But now we can butcher the pig, which will give us meat, but should also give us a hide. And this meat here we can either cook and eat ourselves, or we can toss it onto here and turn it into more pork. Could have sworn I was supposed to get a hide from that. Unless it went through the wall? It did not. Okay, well, no hide from that. But that's how you butcher using Butcher's Delight. And yep, gives you meat. So we have these pork ribs, which we can cut down into pork. We can preserve it in brine, make it last longer. We can turn it into soup. We can use it to make, well, dog food apparently, using Farmer's Delight. We can smoke it. So there's a couple different things we can do to make it preserve longer. We can toss it in here. There's not much room. And likewise with the ham. It does provide quite a lot of protein. In fact, it might be just worth making a soup with that, because that'd be pretty good soup. And this one, same deal. We can cut it into pork. Well, I guess we'll save making the burlap sack for later. I was just going to use it to help organize everything in here a bit better. Oh, and as you can see, I used up all of my gold and silver that I had left on some carrots that were about to expire, so that I now have a bunch more gold carrots and silver carrots in case we run into any hungry zombies. But we're going to want our pick. We should probably take the knife just in case. Oh, we want to remove that from in there. And you know what? Let's cook up a little bit of food. Turn this into soup, and then take that with us along with the sandwiches I made earlier, right there. And then we can go out and explore by boat. We just need to pretty much head south to hopefully find a tropics area. But we might have to travel a couple thousand blocks. So that's why I want to make sure I have enough food for the journey. At least this goes pretty quick. There we go. We are now in the ocean. Well, in the lake. Nope, river. I'll get right eventually. And we've got our canoe. We do have our oar in our offhand. And you need that in order to actually steer. But now we can start heading south. That's not south. And like I said, hopefully find some tropics. So we need to find Kaolinite clay. And we need to find graphite. Oh, I never looked up how to where graphite was. Gneiss, marble, quartz, quartzite, and schist. So, yeah. That's still not south. How do I keep winding up going west? And we just passed over a coral reef. Nice. So yeah, we've got a bit of a journey. I imagine this is going to take a little while, but the boat is actually traveling pretty fast. So that's a good thing. I did not double check. I think we could put chests in the boat. Should have probably checked that before we left, because that would make, inventory a bit better. Because it does say there's a empty compartment. Not that matters too much. We're not going to be loading up our inventory and a bunch of stuff, and we have some inventory slots there, so we should be good. You can put an animal in the dugout canoe. So if you need to transport an animal around, it's one way to do it. Might be worth, when we get back, going up to here, getting the alpacas and just doing like one at a time to bring them back. That way we don't have to worry about, dragging them across land. Anyway, this, as I said, will probably take a while. So I'm just going to cut and hope it doesn't. Okay, Ocean Temple. We're not going there. We found this land at like the exact moment I needed to, because my sanity got way too low. I actually took damage from my sanity getting too low. But, well, there's a building there. We'll check that out in a minute. But there's also that. Be honest, it kind of reminds me of a Gungan village. It's in the water. We're not going to check that out. But as a side note, we have traveled pretty far, and there seems to be a ocean temple every 300 blocks in the ocean. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, your sanity continuously drops while you're in the boat in the ocean. Makes sense. You're in the middle of the ocean in an open boat. My sanity would be dropping too. To be fair, my sanity would be dropping in the middle of a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. So, Oh, it's green. Hi, green. Oh yeah, damaging stuff also lowers your sanity. So like killing a zombie lowers your sanity. Killing anything lowers your sanity. Fishing rod. I'll take that. Another fishing rod. We'll figure out which one's the best one. A lot of raw fish. Could be useful if we weren't on the middle of a little island with no wood to use. Actually, speaking of, I need to eat again. Unbreaking lure, unbreaking luck of the sea. Don't know which one is better. I think luck of the sea is better, so we're going to hold on to this one. And, find my boat. Oh wait, we parked on the other side of the island. And we got a whale shark. Don't worry, they're harmless. So we have reached a tropical rainforest area. We've got the right temperature and the right rainfall. We just don't have the right terrain. We need to find old mountains and chunk errors. Actually, this might be the exact area I need to look for for the Kaolinite clay. We just need to now look for the blood lilies. A lot of sand, which is not what you want. But I can explore a bit. Turtles. Okay. I was gonna say, Mr. Turtle, your head's on sideways. Alright, well, I'm gonna explore around here. It's the first real bit of land I've found in a while, and this might have what we're looking for. Hopefully. Maybe. We'd be very lucky if it does. The blood lilies, they look sort of like that. That's what we're looking for. If we can find them, that means we found Kaolinite clay. There's a crocodile down there. And believe it or not, they're actually pretty fast on land. So we want to keep our distance. Found a blood lily. And I think that's it. It says silt grass, but it's clayish looking. Now, I didn't make a shovel as a bit of an oversight. Yep. Kaolinite clay. So that's exactly what we need. So I should just take a moment and go make myself a shovel and then collect up as much as I possibly can. I did also pick up some sugarcane. We can use this to make, obviously, sugar. Where is it? There we go. Boil it in a pot with salt water, turns into sugar. And then we can use the sugar for bread or whiskey, jarring stuff, making chocolate. Yeah, there's a couple things we can do with it. Okay, so I literally just put down the block to turn it into straw so we can make the shovel, and I kept climbing up the hill. This entire top of the hill is Kaolinite clay. This is the biggest deposit I've ever seen, and it's red and white clay, and pink. Red, pink, and white. It is huge. Look at this. Okay, I know streamer luck is a thing, and I'm not streaming, but this is the closest thing I've ever had to streamer luck. So, without even doing anything, we're already at 45 Kaolinite clay. Yeah, okay, well... it does help. We're gonna be good. Like, permanently. Yeah, I thought you were trying to sneak up on me. No idea where they came from. Okay, I'm playing with fire here. Yeah, I think it's gonna be enough Kaolinite clay to last us quite a while. And we're back home. That was quite a journey. Took a few days, but we got all the Kaolinite I'm going to need. Now, what I do want to do is park the boat like here for a moment, run up, and we're gonna make... Oh, I picked up a chest from a ruin. It was floating in the water, so we'll worry about that later. I need to grab a couple of these to make a lead. All right. And then in here I have fences. So what we can do is we can actually moor the boat to a fence using a lead so that it doesn't float away from on us. Put that there. Grab that there. There we go. So now we don't have to worry about the boat floating downriver. Okay, we got our Kaolinite. We've got our boat. We do not yet have graphite. Everywhere I explored, I did not find any of the proper regions for graphite, so we're going to have to keep going out and exploring more, but that will be next episode. Until then, thank you for joining me today. I hope you've had a wonderful day. Thank you to my channel members for your support, and I'll see you next time. Later.